You're at 109 right now.
Hello, people. All right. Let me sit back here. I'm excited. So, I want to give you the story, and I always say time is of the essence, and yet I speak longer, or I take more time to say what I have to say, but I know you want to get the message and you want to get it sooner rather than later, and I don't want to belabor you, and I don't want you to wait and but let me get to it immediately, shall I? Let me show you. We're going to do this as a show and tell first, okay? Got this book right here, Treasures of Ethiopia and Eritrea, in the Bodleian Library, Oxford. All right, you can look on the cover and see a brother who may resemble Nipsey, that part. And then here, okay, I was just looking at this. Look at this picture here. You can see some brothers who look like Nipsey. All right, the beards, the prominent noses, the eyes, etc., etc. I look at that, especially the brother on the right. Yeah, that brother right there, that long beard. Heck, both of them. That could be Samuel and Nipsey right there. So when I got this book, I was excited because I just turned to the first few pages and I saw what to me looked like Nipsey, and I was like, there it is right there. So that's what this is about, y'all. 2019, we lost Nipsey, but we all know that Nipsey, was sent to us and had a mission on earth, and he completed his mission. And now it is upon us. It's incumbent upon us to carry on that mission. You see, he was a unifying force, and he was bringing all of us together. And that's what we must do. We must follow that same mission. Come together to redefine, our future. We have to look to the future. So I want to share a few other books to give you some idea of what I'm talking about here. All right. This book here, The Sons of Sheba's Race. This is an interesting book because the Sons of Sheba's Race references, Sheba, Queen of Sheba, and the title says it right there, the Sons of Sheba's Race. So that's who we are. All right, that's who we are. This story in particular is about African Americans and the Italo-Ethiopian War. So there were African Americans here, right in America, and when Italy and Ethiopia were battling, in particular, Italy sought to colonize and conquer Ethiopia. All right, some details. In the 1800s, Italy tried it the first time and failed. And in the 1930s to the 1940s, Italy tried it again, tried to colonize Ethiopia. They were unsuccessful in colonizing Ethiopia, but they were successful in occupying Ethiopia. I think it was between 5 and 10 years, or I think it was 5 years, but I'm not sure. But they were not colonized. So no European power ever colonized Ethiopia. We don't learn that fact in our history classes. In fact, all of African history is overlooked in these Western societies, and that is part of the reason why we are so detached today. You see, Nipsey is about reattaching us, you see, through education, through information. That's what this is about. You have to reattach yourself to the history, because when you know your history, then, you're not doomed to repeat it. Got to know your history. So that's very important. This book talks about the African American men who decided they were going to fight on the side of the Ethiopians against the Italians. Now, at that time, even though American black men had the desire to fight on the side of Ethiopia, the United States government did not allow them to. And that's what this book is about. It tells their stories. It tells the story of the position the American blacks were in during that time. Outstanding book. I haven't finished it, but I've been getting into it. It's a difficult book to find. Purchased it for $100 some. This actual copy has been signed by the late author, Mr. William R. Scott. It's a first edition. So, but this book is powerful, and it informs me, because I imagine, had I lived at that time, knowing what I know about Ethiopia, I would be like the majority of these men, wanting to fight on the side of Ethiopia against a colonizing force. Because basically, Ethiopia is the only African nation that was not colonized. And when you learn that fact, a great weight is lifted off of you, because you think that it is impossible to defeat the European. And yet, when you learn the stories of the Ethiopians, you discover, oh, it's possible. It's been done. We just need to get back to doing whatever we did at that time. And we need to apply those rules today, because the circumstances and suffering, oppression that we suffer under today, this is a detour from who we actually are. We are now off the beaten path. We need to get back onto that proper trajectory, right? And that's where Nipsey comes in to say, hey, hold up. You guys are pushing us down, subjugating us, but we are greater, and we need to get back to being that. That's what Nipsey's whole mission was. And so his mission was also to inform us all of our greatness. And just like Nipsey said, exactly how Nipsey said, he wants all of us to walk into our greatness, collectively, at the same time, move into our greatness. So none of this, staying by the wayside and being messed up. No, we got to walk. We've got to see the vision of greatness, and we've got to move in that direction collectively. That's what it is. So whether it is, so it just basically demands that we operate on the optimal levels. We got to do our best at all times. So in my little way, I'm sharing my stories. I'm sharing through my podcast, through my YouTube videos, through all of these different avenues, these venues. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to have to hurry this along. I'm about to hit the 10-minute mark. This is the next book. This is about Colonel John Charles Robinson. This brother right here was an American aviator, African-American aviator, and he was chosen by His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I to fight on the side of the Ethiopians. So although there were many of us who wanted to fight and were not allowed to, John C. Robinson was one of the men who were successful and did fight. And, you know, he was one heck of a fighter pilot and served, and, you know, he lived to tell the tale. You know, he served in Ethiopia, and then he came back to America to work on developing the Tuskegee Institute. Phenomenal story. Badass brother, man. His intellect, his accomplishments throughout his lifetimes are, you know, are just amazing, because he had to suffer under racism, discrimination, Jim Crow. Like, he writes about it, he talks about it. So all of the pressures of subjugation, societal pressures of not wanting him to be great were real. And he was able to maneuver, he was able to navigate that terrain. That's what we all have to do. But you read this book and you discover it wasn't easy. It was not easy. All right, but it was possible. All right. So the next book is my own book. This is the display copy here. It says display copy at the bottom here. This is my book, 109. It comes in different colors. This is the purple cover. It's covered in plastic right here. It's a new one. They come in purple, red, green, and blue. And these numbers, 109, are very important to me, because though I'm not a numerologist, my experiences, my encounters with these numbers, 1, 0, and 9, have led me to, you know, see things very differently. Carl Jung is the philosopher, analyst, psychiatrist. Like, this dude, Carl Jung, his last name is Jung, Jung. He dealt with synchronicity, and basically there are no coincidences. And my story of 109 is about what seemed to be coincidences, but what really, as I've learned, as I've come to discover, are more or less, you know, sort of, yes, of course, they're signs, but they are, what are they? They're like checkpoints. Here, this is where you need to be. Check that off. You see the numbers there. Over here, you know, I may have doubt. Oh, I shouldn't be over here. That you see the numbers over there. That's an affirmation. That is a confirmation that you're supposed to be there. You're on the right track. You know, Carl Jung talked about synchronicity. Talked about these moments where experiences, you know, the universe, things happen in the universe, and they inform us, you know, of, well, so many things. There's a video, and it talked about how Carl Jung would experience these moments of synchronicity. He'd see something, he'd experience something, and it would lead him down a rabbit hole. He'd want to know, how do I interpret a dream? How do I interpret, you know, what has happened to me? And he had to look into different schools of thought in order to understand them. And this is exactly what I've done with this book. Carl Jung had, I think it's, boy, oh boy, I'm going to have to end this video sooner, because I don't have the particular vocabulary, the lingo, the terms. I don't have them down. I haven't memorized them. But there's There's something that there's a term that Carl Jung created that relates to um, experiencing something and then looking for explanations in many different schools of thought. Whether it's religion, whether it's numerology, whether it's astronomy or astrology. Um, you just go to different schools of thought in order to understand what a particular symbol means. For instance, why did the scarab beetle is one example where there was a dream, and in the dream, one of his patients, Carl Jung's patient, saw a scarab. And so he went in and looked into what does the scarab mean in different cultures. And when you do that, then you're dealing with the interpretation of what you have experienced and what you have seen. Man, it's so deep. My book is about that. My book is about exploring different schools of thought from the nation of gods and earths, numerology to, Ethiopian history, and most recently to the Bible, because 10:9 has a wildly significant these numbers are wildly significant and correlated to the Bible. 10:9, Romans 10:9 speaks of professing one's love for Jesus, is what allows one to be saved. Specifically, it's a very, very popular Bible verse. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I'm really excited about and what really inspired me to make this video. So it's almost 3 in the morning here in Los Angeles, and I've been in communication. I've been in contact with a friend, a dear brother of mine in Ethiopia, and central to my story, in my book, there's this picture of this door. A door I found in Ethiopia, and the door had the numbers 109 or 109 written on it. I did not write those numbers, and to have encountered this door, to have seen this door, especially in particular in Ethiopia, the number 109 is up here on this door. Someone wrote 109 up there. Okay, so I'm excited because so my dear brother who is in Ethiopia is going to help me. He's going to the Addis Ababa University to take a photo of this door. And hopefully this door, it's been 4 years. Hopefully this door looks the same. I hope those numbers are still written there, because that gives me the hope that perhaps in the future I can go back and still see those numbers, and maybe make a video or something like that to show those are the numbers that I saw in 2018. Okay, but why are these numbers significant? Because I saw these numbers, 109, in different countries. And to me, they simply meant my birthday, October 9th. However, as I started to look into different schools of thought, I discovered that these numbers have different meanings. And basically, the conclusion where I am today with this and with the correlation to Nipsey, there's another video I made where I was driving down Crenshaw, and right next to where Nipsey's image is on the ground at the at Crete Academy on Crenshaw, Right next door, the address is 6109. So there's Nipsey and 109 right there, okay, on Crenshaw. I was thousands of miles away on the day that I learned that Nipsey was murdered. Within an hour of learning of his murder, I'm driving to work and a car cut me off and the license plate was 1090. So there's 109 right there. Next door to the Crete Academy on Crenshaw. 109. 6109 is the exact address. So I'm saying to myself, how come 109 is resonating with me and it's also linked with Nipsey? Like, what is the intersection? Like, why is this happening? So I'm trying to understand all of this stuff. And then when I found Romans 10:9 in the Bible, it was a wrap. It was like, I got it. I understand the message. I understand. Because if Nipsey, these are biblical works. These paintings are in the Bible or of, biblical figures. And they look like Nipsey. And so the history that is lost and is lost in order to detach us. Like when we discover the history, then everything comes together. And so, Nipsey's name being Ermias, meaning God will rise. These men of the Bible looking a lot like Nipsey. The verse, Romans 10:9, being a reference to Jesus. Seeing Nipsey's, knowing that Nipsey's mural is right next to a building, address 6109. Knowing that within an hour of receiving news that Nipsey was murdered when I was thousands of miles away from Los Angeles, I see 109 on the back, on a license plate. There's just way too many instances when I see 109 for them to be just mere coincidences. Carl Jung said there are no coincidences. And so, having seen 109 in Ethiopia on that door is even further confirmation of what, what conclusions I'm arriving at. Because had I not seen 109 in Ethiopia, I would have less of a connection to make. But Ethiopia, 109, the Queen of Sheba, and Aksum, and Nipsey, there's great connections all in there. It's all there. It's real. So, man, I'm excited. Oh, because I was talking to my brother. That's why I'm so excited. Because I was talking to him and he's going to take a picture. He's going to make sure that the pictures, he's going to send me pictures of that door. So that's what I'm anticipating. I'm anxious to see those pictures, and that's going to be really great. So that's what it is. In fact, I'm going to play a message here. I asked him, I said, take pictures for me. So this is what his response has been.
How I communicate him, I have the sword of the Minilik. So I told him, shall I sell it or shall you need it, the sword on this thing? I understand. Because if asking him directly what's the number, this is he might be think negative. So you will tell him, I'm trying to struggle. And then now he said, I'll call you back when I'll be at the office. Now I'm enjoying my lunch, he said. So you will tell me. He will inform me, and later you will call him. Yes.
I'm saying hello. All right, I was gonna play the other message. Okay, what he was saying there, we've contacted the gentleman whose office that door belongs to. we've contacted him, but it was his lunch break. All right, it's 3 in the morning here. It's lunchtime there in Ethiopia, and so yeah, we want to get pictures. We want to go. I want my dear brother to go there to snap the photos. But he also wants to ask the gentleman whose office is behind those doors what that number 109 means. And as of right now, the gentleman doesn't have an answer. And it's quite peculiar because 109 should be on the first floor, but this door is located on the second floor. Of course, the number was written there, so someone was writing these numbers on the door for some reason. Again, so the gentleman whose office it is behind that door, he was eating his lunch. He didn't want to be disturbed, and we didn't want to interrupt him. But I asked my dear brother, whose voice you just heard, I asked him to take the pictures for me because he's there in Ethiopia. All right, here's another message. This message was sent before the message you just heard, so hopefully it gives better context to what's happening.
All right, my brother, you are right. And I'm just calling him. He say, those are numbers of the office. I'm asking him, so what is that? 202 and 203. And next there is 109. He said, there are numbers down to me and up to me. Whatever, he said so many things. So what I plan, he told me that when I...
The message was being played back at 1.5 times its speed. I've reduced it to 1. Let's go back and listen to it at the normal speeds.
You are right, my brother. You are right. And I'm just calling him. He say, those are numbers of the office. I'm asking him, so what is that? 202 and 203. And next there is 109. He said, there are numbers down to me and up to me. Whatever, he said so many things. So what I plan, he told me that when I will be arrive at the office, I will tell him. He asking me what he need. I told him, no, just he would like to know about the numbers and etc. But I'm asking him, so let's be patient. Now he's eating his lunch. After he back to the office, we will call him.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's a better message. The one following wasn't the one for you to hear. I mixed them up. Anyhow, I'm going to end this with a few quotes that I've snagged from the internet. Excuse me.
You're at 109 right now.
This is just too philosophical. Maybe I'm trying to combine things that can't be combined, but it makes sense to me.
That's the quote that really drives all of this home. That was Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers from, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So he had an idea and he was expressing it, and then he was doubtful that he was doing a good job of explaining his idea, because he was borrowing from many different sources. And as he said, but to him, it made sense. And I feel him. All right. This is exactly how I feel about this topic, about 109. Like, I've been exposed to so much through my travels, so much information, so much history, and everything is being synthesized right now. It's all congealing. I see this, I see that. I see that, everything is connected, and I'm arriving at some conclusions. And so in my mind, it makes sense. But perhaps to someone else who doesn't have the education through the experiences that I've had, they may not arrive at the same conclusion. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged because I just watched a video by DJ Muggs. And DJ Muggs, it was fascinating because he incorporated a quote from a Quentin Crisp. So, like a DJ Muggs, if you know him and know his hip hop persona, his hip hop, if you know who he is, then for him to quote, this gay English, he's called a raconteur. socialite, you know, an artist. For DJ Muggs to quote this guy, it's wild. It's weird. It's like, it's out there. It's like, man, you'd have to, DJ Muggs is stretching, is mentally stretching. But at the same time, what he said and what particular quote he used is so necessary that it doesn't matter who this person was, what they said was so much more important than, you know, who they were, you know, and, you know, forget all of that. At the core, the essence, this was a human being and they had something powerful to say. And that cuts through everything. And so DJ Muggs borrows a quote from him, and it's fun. It's inspiring because the quote basically says something to the effect. I don't see the quote here, so I can't pull it up. But let me see if I can find it here. Okay, I found it. All right, Google. This guy, Quentin Crisp, said, "Those who once inhabited the suburbs of human contempt find that without changing their address, they will eventually live in the metropolis." So that means that one day you may be the object of ridicule and contempt. But as time progresses, you know, values change, society changes, and you may have been the object of ridicule and contempt, and then you may find yourself the center of attention or the coolest cat on the block. At one time you were uncool, now you're very cool. You see, that's what I gather from that. And so basically, that quote is inspiring because everything I'm talking about in 109, it may sound esoteric. It may sound foreign to someone today, but a few years from now, when other people are exposed to the truth about Ethiopia, Eritrea, and there's a greater awareness about Africa and the importance of attaching oneself back to Africa and its development, then we're going to start, then I'm not going to sound so confused, so it's not going to be like I'm stretching. It's going to be like, yeah, he's right on, you know. So that's all. So that's what I'm talking about. And Fred Rogers was the same way. He was dealing with these ideas and it made sense to him. So even though it may not make sense to you today, it will in the future.
This is just too philosophical. Maybe I'm trying to combine things that can't be combined, but it makes sense to me.
C'est toujours un plaisir d'être là avec vous. Vous écoutez la fréquence 109. Merci à vous.
On the wing. As an adolescent, I dreamed of big things. Climb to the top of the mountain to see the scene. Petty wap don't want me to have anything. I'm the captain, no jet lag. Boeing jet swag. Floating to the sunset, keep the drinks coming back. She summoned me, gave me turbulence on the sink. Pretty flight attendant, boarding pass, I'm a buddy. Stunting first class, vegan meal yummy. Writing the rhythm beats.